Good afternoon, everyone. Well, I love the way Mr. Steve opened the session and talked about value. What do people say about you when you leave the room? These days, a lot of people see branding as projecting you to be what you're not, covering you with heavy makeup. They forget that branding is not just about the logo, about the color scheme. Branding is a promise kept. Someone that can keep a promise that you're sure that it's going to be kept. Like if Mr. Emeka owns an electronic shop, and you know that everybody knows that it sells only original, and people are having a discussion, we need to buy electronics, they say go to Emeka somewhere. That's branding. Not necessarily how fine his logo is. Branding Nigeria will not work if we continue to do the nonsense that we're doing. It can cover up a bit. It can help one or two areas. But as long as we don't get our acts together, such branding never lasts. Governments have come up with different initiatives in the past, never last. You want to advertise that people should come to your country for tourism. You get into the country. If you come into Nigeria, you've never been to Nigeria before, and you don't know anyone, and you just read somewhere that you want to go to Olumorok. If you get to the airport, you want to turn back. If you go to a country you don't speak the language, like Japan, and you've spotted, because I believe no one speaks Japanese there, that's why I use Japan as an example. Not because it's a great country. It's a great country, but I use it as a country where we likely don't speak the language. And someone told you that there's one tourism spot in Hiroshima, not even Tokyo. You can land in Japan and find your way to that tourism spot without your cousin coming to pick you, because you walk out, you know that you can get a bus, you know you can get to the information desk, you know the taxi or the train will take you there. We land, we move at 1:15 and you get there at 3:35, because they're trying to make their system work. But here, if you like advertise on CNN 1 million times, you can get the initial set of people to come. But when the word goes round, like he said, when you leave the room, what are they saying about you? When the word goes round, others will not come. So as long as we continue to do it this way, we'll never be able to brand successfully. Yes, a lot of foreigners are in Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians abroad still come to Nigeria. She's in Nigeria by choice. I'm in Nigeria by choice as well. I've been abroad and I said, no, I prefer it here. Nigeria, there's a lot of potential, and there are a lot of foreigners doing business in Nigeria, while a lot of Nigerians say, so while a lot of Nigerians say there's no opportunity, I know it's because a lot of people are just disillusioned. That's why they're not even bothering to check whether there are opportunities or not. There are opportunities, no doubt. And a lot of foreigners are secretly coming to the country and doing business and cashing out, no doubt. But only the strong-hearted, only the strong-willed, only the extra determined people or this, they know that they can actually make this work, and they're going to damn any consequences. It is not normal for just a foreigner to say it's coming to establish in Nigeria. Only the dogged fighters, the craziest people do it. So we cannot base our potentials or what we are on the few die-hard people. She's die-hard, that's why. People like us are die-hard, that's why. You cannot base the society on the die-hard. You base it on the average and the weak. So as long as we continue to do the things we do, no amount of branding will work. So maybe with further questions we can develop on that point. Because a lot of people have been born into the mess. And they are now adults in the mess. So they know no other thing apart from mess. They know no other thing. That even if you want to correct them, they will fight you, because their reality, their truth is the mess. Just a random example. You have a teacher in a school that doesn't even understand the subject, a secondary school teacher that cannot read and write, and you fire such a person, and there's a problem. That shows how deep. No, there can be arguments. Okay, what happened? How did it even get to the system? But that just summarizes the mess. Now, how do we get out of this mess? There's no one way. It's so multifaceted, right? But I truly believe that until the government, and with everybody's involvement, go back to true federalism, we will never get it right. Now, not only countries that do federalism succeed, but our own problem is that we're confused. We say we're a federalism, but we practice unitary system of government. So if we know we are not practicing federalism, let us know we are not practicing federalism and run a unitary system of government. But we can't run a federalism on paper, unitary on reality, and when it pays us, we pick federalism today. When it doesn't pay us, we go for unitary. Nigeria is so multifaceted, so multi-religions, multi-tribes, multi-languages. Federalism is the only way. Every sector must be very independent. But the problem is that when we start to come to actualize this process, many of us will still fight it. That shows that growing up in a mess, growing up in military rule, where the power is in the center, that's the only thing we know. So if we say this sector, let each state collect VAT, just an example, we'll have people argue for and against. Maybe the people that will argue against will even win those that are arguing for it. So if we cannot, we have to come, each section of the country, each state of the country must be almost independent. And obviously we've got to take a look at constitution that is backing people not to practice true federalism. For example, if you look at the exclusively, I don't know if this advanced, I don't know if this advanced governance for people in the audience. Like, if you look at in the constitution, there's what we call the exclusive list, there's what we call the concurrent list, and there's what we call the residual. Thank God. Okay, I'm glad you understand. So we need to limit the exclusive list. Now, as lawmakers, that's our primary responsibility. But do you know what? A lot of bills have been raised, have been sponsored. But when it gets to critical time of arguing, when it comes to the critical time of, what do you call it? Public hearing and the critical part, it's the same Nigerians that will come and condemn it. For example, if you want to practice true federalism, each state electoral commission should be conducting each state elections. Even federal election, each state will conduct it and they will now transmit it, like the federal will now collect it. But what are we going to stay in Nigeria? We are not right for that. We cannot do it. Each state governor will sit on it. Fine, there's the truth in it. But if we don't get it right from day one, when are we going to get it right? We'll talk about the police. The governor will sit on it and use it to fight perceived enemy. You are afraid of a governor sitting over the police of one state, but you are not afraid of one person, the president, sitting over the police of the 36 states. Is that not mental? Education to the states. Let us get independent. That's real independence, not the one we collected from Britain. So that is a fundamental thing. How we begin to now reorientate ourselves that this is how things are going to be done. Is it the egg before the chicken? Is it the chicken before the egg? I think what she was trying to say in the first instance that you disagree with, it's not like government, they're sitting somewhere in another town in one room. Like, it's us. I wasn't born into government, right? Some people here will be in government in 10 years time, in 20 years time, and people will say those of you in the government. So who are they not Nigerians? Like, everything is already intertwined. I think that's the point that we're mixing it all up. Everybody is almost the same now, because we don't know maybe the president, or nobody can get near the president, no one can get near the vice and so on. But essays, House of Rep members, I'm a House of Rep member, Shino is, Ifeanyi is, right? So what are we talking about? So who is this government when you are with the rest of us, those of us that are in government? So it's already intertwined. So the fact is that we are doing basic things wrong. He's talked about, a couple of times referred to Davido whiskey shutting O2 down, right? But we can hardly have such a show in Nigeria. We're talking about, was it AfriNation, one show that they were doing that they took to Portugal and took to one other city. I think they said they took it to Accra too. They're not going to bring it to Nigeria. Remember the first time I took the mic, I said a foreigner coming without your cousin or someone coming to pick you, you're even going to be lost at the airport. You landing in Nigeria, you're going to Jos, and you land in Nigeria, there's no connection from the international to local. So we brand and brand and brand, personal economy, collective economy. As long as all of us, both the guy in government and the guy on the street, continues to do the wrong thing. And I said earlier on, most people grew up knowing only the wrong things. So where do we begin to tell people that is wrong? What 90% of what you do from morning to night is wrong. He talked about what he experienced at trade fair. Do you know in UCH Ibadan, the person that will wheel the patient to theater, you will collect money from you? The staff that we wheel, they've said, okay, we are going into the theater to operate. The person that will wheel that person, if you don't give the person money, 8,000 naira. That person will contest for House of Reps in maybe 10 years' time. And I'm not saying this person in particular. And that person too will be in government. So the other people will now say, the people in government. So who is this government? It's all of us. But that doesn't mean we're going to exonerate someone that doesn't perform in office. No way. Do not exonerate. But give the right blame to the right quarter. Because there's another thing that goes on, ignorance. You want to blame the advisor to the Minister of Sports on price of dollar. She did her hand like this, egg by me. Like, this is pulling everybody together. And look, she advises Mr. Sunday Dari. That's all. And that's if Mr. Sunday Dari accepts her advice. And you blame her for bad roads in the country. You cannot. So take the requests and criticism to the right quarters. Even the people that you are supposed to criticize, that are just quietly milking the system. NUC, you talked, sorry, I'm picking it haphazardly. NUC, we talked about. Those in NUC, are they politicians? They're just people that just rose through the ranks. They're the professors that came from this university. Shouldn't they be talking like you two? Like, give us new. Don't they know? The president might not know. I'm not talking about exactly educational sector. He won't know all the sectors, right? He might not know. So it's people like that that are supposed to bring it to the table. Have they brought it to the table that the president said no? Maybe. I don't know. So a lot of these things are wrong. He talked about when someone helps you in the office, remove the garment of politics. How practicable is that? Even America is not done like that. That's why you see a John Kerry lose an election and is made Secretary of State, like Hillary Clinton. Political positions, whether you like it or not, in a democracy, are spoils of war. Whether you like it. Look, if UK system is the funniest. They already know when we form, they have shadow cabinet. When we get into government, this is going to be our own cabinet. I'm a member of the House of Representatives. We know the basic jobs of House of Representatives: lawmaking, oversight of the executive, and so on and so forth. Go and tell that to the constituents. If I take off the garment that those that we stood in the rain to vote for you, we asked you for school fees, you've not given us. You're an outcast. So you have to blend it. Try and do so. It's not practicable to take out the garment of politics. Say you're going into government. They will not allow you to succeed. Number one. And they probably remove you. And if you have great plans for your people in future, you will not get there. And who are these people? Us. He doesn't recognize us. We voted for him. It was in front of my house we were doing meetings. I will cook for everybody. Now I cannot bring rice for Christmas. Then you ask with which money? Which takes us back to your own point. Yes, we're decently paid. We get paid 650,000 naira monthly. And there's something people say constituency allowance. I tell everybody here with all sense of responsibility, there's no such thing. Nobody collects any money for constituency allowance. Please, I beg all of you, if you know any honorable that collects, please, I want to meet him so I can go and collect my own. Me to need money now. I would like to collect my own. Let the person show me. Maybe speaker's office. Maybe you show me. You fine. Now, but there's something called in every government office, something called running cost. From the minister's office to the DG of a dead agency that they don't do anything. That even if you say they should scrap that agency, it's Nigerians that we fight to because there's budget that they are milking, that the civil servant is using to send child to private school. You wonder where the civil servant sending child to private school is getting the money from. Now, there's running cost for all those offices, and there's running cost for House of Rep offices as well. Because we've got to do things. We buy paper, they don't supply us paper. We do everything, motions, we do everything. So there's running cost. So, yes, should governance, running costs generally be reduced across board in Nigeria? Yes. But trying to single out or to scapegoat the National Assembly, I will not take it. Thank you. One thing we need to get right in this country is dissemination of information. I think there's too much secrecy in government. And when I say secrecy in government, I don't mean there are some people sitting down and say we want to hide. It's just that some people, they're just not bothered. They just want to do their part, pick their pay, and move. They don't really care, right? Sometimes when I put out some content online, I just say this is what a motion is, or this is how to make a bill, or how a bill becomes a law. And people are like, wow, governance, this is so interesting. I'm like, this is just basic things that we do. Like, people don't understand. We're talking about direct and indirect primaries, how that can shape our future, how that can shape and deepen our democracy, right? I wrote an article about it, and it was like an eye-opener. Like, I thought the information was everywhere. Like, if you Google it, you'll find it. Like, but nobody. But I think now is the responsibility of the government to actually stretch their hands, not asking the people to come and knock on the door of the government. Because where is the door of government? So different government at different levels, different branches, executive, legislative, judiciary, different levels, federal, state, local, should try as much as possible. Because when we start to talk, the people will actually now see the challenges of government, because now people don't care. They just feel there's money, we can be Dubai, we can be Singapore. When in actual fact you're talking about the budget of Nigeria and the budget of a state in America is bigger than the budget of Nigeria. The budget of a police in, say, LAPD is almost as much as the budget of the entire Nigeria. That's LAPD. Police, not even their state, or just the police of a state, of a city. Their budget, they have as much money as Nigeria. The budget of a university, a top university in UK, is more than the budget of many states in Nigeria. So, a state can never be more developed than that university, because the university has so much money. The budget of the US military is 20 times more than Nigeria's budget. Just the military. So you have, if people now understand, like, where's the fine, we are wasting the little we have. We can do better with the little we have. But all this, look at what Dubai did in 50 years, it's mere fallacy. Right? But if people see, people cannot say, okay, but why do we need to spend 15 billion on this? Why can't we put it on this so we can better utilize the money? So I think the onus still lies on government to demystify governance, then people can get involved. And when that time comes, when people see government officials or government agencies that are giving out information on how governance works, please, let's engage them constructively. Thank you.